Hello there, I'm Hank, and welcome to my podcast, Hank Sayz, where we talk all things Marvel, DC, Star Wars, and Harry Potter. Today, we are doing a slightly different episode than you're probably used to, entitled a list episode, but here to help me explain that is my phenomenal co-host. You know him, you love him. Please give a hearty welcome to the amazing Alan. How are you doing today, Alan?
I'm doing pretty well, and I'm excited to talk about our custom Avengers teams.
Why don't you tell them how the structure of this episode is going to work?
Well, there's not going to be a Fast Facts or a First Sight today, but we're going to be giving our list of what we think our Unlimited Avengers would be.
Wow, that sounds pretty great. What are our requirements?
Well, let's see. Our team needs a leader,
Right.
a muscle, or a
Right.
mortal person. Can be like a lieutenant, like a second in command. We need a rebel, someone who doesn't follow the rules, or will follow the rules but doesn't like it.
Sure.
A tech guy, smart, good with electronics, a magic user, an outsider, or someone who's shunned by the group or himself, an extra dimensional, not from this dimension,
Yes.
typically. A wild card, which you can basically just go crazy with, and a liaison, basically the bridge between the government and the superhero. How about we start with your team, Hank?
Alright, let's get into it. And make sure to stick around to the very end because we are going to be revealing our stories for these characters, what they would be doing, and how they got together. So you're not going to want to miss that at all.
That's right.
So every team needs a good leader, right? You
Right.
can't just have some weak-boned, fishy person being the
You mean
leader.
Aquaman?
Ouch. You can't just have someone like that be your leader,
Sure.
right? So I chose Black Panther. T'Challa of Wakanda from the Marvel Universe 199999, which for anyone who doesn't know, that's the MCU. So
That's a great leader.
thank you.
Really great.
I would put his age at age 37, before the Infinity Snap, right?
Right.
And I chose him because he's perfect for this role. He's the king of his own country, and he fits perfectly into my story.
I completely agree.
That's awesome. Wait.
He's also my leader as well.
Dang.
And
Dude.
just so everybody knows, we didn't talk to each other about
No.
what our characters were gonna be at all.
We were entirely separate. Dude, really?
Yeah,
Nice. Well, I guess we'll come to that when we come to your team.
right. Alright, well, who is your muscle?
My muscle isn't someone that you would think of as being particularly muscly. Physically, at least.
Okay.
My muscle is Powerhouse. Franklin Richards. The
Ah.
son of Reed Richards, who's got the crazy reality warping powers. He can
Right.
basically do anything. And I think that that's more muscle than any physical strength can compare to.
Well, this category is muscle and immortal, so he is technically immortal.
He is.
correct?
He's more powerful than Galactus.
Wow.
So I'd pull him from the 616 at age 17 before Heroes Reborn, which is where he makes an entire universe for himself.
Interesting.
I chose him because he's the ultimate muscle and could Heroes Reborn everyone if need be, which,
Right.
for anyone who doesn't know what that is Heroes Reborn is where a bunch of characters, quote-unquote, die, but they actually get taken to a mini pocket universe that Nathaniel Richards creates.
Right. Alright, so who is your rebel?
My rebel is none other than the Shish-Ka-Bub himself.
Wolverine?
James Logan Howlett. And I would take him from the 616 at 40 years old.
Wow.
Around the time of Mutant Genesis.
Right.
By, I can't remember his name. But, yeah, I chose him because he's super cool. He's got a darker, kind of grittier influence that is perfect for my team.
Right.
Will be apparent when we do the story section.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he embodies the perfect mixture of what I want between people that I like and people that are good on a team.
Right.
So, yeah, he's my rebel.
Alright, who's your tech?
My tech is it's a bit of a cheaty one because
Okay.
if Franklin Richards' Powerhouse did not meet your requirement for muscle, this guy will. I chose Amadeus Cho, the totally awesome
Oh,
Hulk.
interesting.
So he's the 8th smartest person on the planet in
Right.
616 at age 18, and he is also the totally awesome Hulk, a Hulk that can retain his brain in
Hulk form.
Hulk form.
Yeah, that's
So,
pretty cool.
He's the 8th smartest person in the world. Like I said, he's the atom bomb of the series. So,
Right.
like, he's the tech support only until you really need him, and that's like Colin Amadeus is like, drop the
Yeah.
bomb.
All right, who is your magic user?
My magic user is someone who's not exactly always ethical. He is Loki from
Ooh.
616 at age 1,400 years old.
Wow, he is like the ultimate magic
He
user.
is the god of mischief, and I'd pull him from pre-Agent of Asgard, which is when he gets youngified and whatnot.
Right.
And I'd also give him the Mind Spear from
Ooh.
Avengers #1.
Yeah.
I think he's utilized a lot in comics, and he's been around a while so that he can speak all of the languages
Oh,
that
yeah.
I'll need him to speak in my story. So
Ooh.
that'll come into play much later.
Interesting. All right, who is your extra-dimensional character?
Well, I believe that next is my outsider.
Oh, you're correct.
So my outsider is Captain America. But not the Captain America you're thinking of.
Okay.
Captain America Sam Wilson.
What?
So this is the Captain America with wings. This is, yeah, from the hashtag Not My Cap series.
I
From
see.
the 616. And I'd age him around 28, 29.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't want a bunch of white guys on my team. Cough, cough, Avengers #1. I'm looking at
Sure.
you. And I'm really excited for the new series on Disney Plus that's going to be coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a bit more intense than Steve Rogers. Because
Yeah.
he's also a war veteran, but he has much less of a history of, yes, I'm Captain America.
Right, yeah.
So, yeah, he's I think, the best pick for this slot.
Cool. All right, who is your extra-dimensional?
My extra-dimensional is my favorite character from the Marvel Ultimate Universe, 1610. He is Ultimate Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Ah, nice.
I'd age him at about 14.
Right.
Before Secret Wars, which is where the 161 universe is destroyed.
Right.
And yeah, I really love Miles. He's right under Peter Parker Ultimate Spider-Man in my favorite Spider-Man of all time list.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's something about him that I just can't get enough of. And
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
his series by Brian Michael Bendis is probably my favorite comic book series I've ever read.
Oh, wow, nice.
So yeah, that's why I chose Miles Morales.
All right, who is your wild card?
Well, this person has 2 movies under his belt, unless you count some shorts, which I don't think you do. And he is also known as the Merc with a Mouth. I chose Deadpool. Wade Wilson, 616, of undeterminable age. You can't really tell how old he is.
Right.
He's kind of like Wolverine in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd have him be after Secret Wars. So this is the Deadpool that's going around. He's been with S.H.I.E.L.D., he's been with Hydra, he's basically just been with everyone at this point. And he's kind of my comic relief / annoying character, which will come into play in my story.
All right, cool. All right, who is your liaison?
Last but not least, my liaison is Phil Cheese Coulson.
His middle name is Cheese?
No, that's his nickname. People just call him Cheese.
Why?
Because it's so great. It's not in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show, but in the comics, people just call him Cheese.
It's
so
really
good.
That's really odd.
Yes. So Phil Cheese Coulson from the Marvel Universe 199999 or the MCU at around 45. So this is an older Phil Coulson, and he's the inciting factor in my story.
All right, interesting.
Well, that's all I have for my team. So, my story is a worldwide conspiracy theory.
Ooh, conspiracy theory.
So, it all starts when Phil Coulson uncovers a plot to start World War III by planting crucial military figures into governments. So, he contacts Black Panther, because who better to contact than the head of his own sovereign nation?
Right.
And, asks him to help him form an Unlimited Avengers team that won't have any restrictions. That's why they're called Unlimited Avengers.
I see.
And so Black Panther contacts Cap first. Captain America Sam Wilson. And together they decide on who to add to their team. Because it's got to be a select group. So Black Panther then goes to Powerhouse. who's looking for his dad, because this is all part of the plot that people from governments around the world and superheroes are slowly disappearing.
Oh, interesting.
To further the World War III plot.
I see.
And
if there are no superheroes.
Yes. And also, these superheroes are integral figures in the American government.
Right.
So, Black Panther comes to Powerhouse and promises to help him look for his dad, but they need to save the world first.
I see.
And then Cap goes to the X-Mansion and contacts Logan. And Logan agrees to help, but Sam puts the restriction on him that...
He can't make any kebabs.
No, he can make all the kebabs he wants. He just
okay.
can't tell any... Yeah, I mean, that would be a disaster of a team
right?
if he can't kebabs.
Oh, man.
Logan's kebabs.
You mean his kebabs?
His kebabs are legendary.
Kebab. Bob.
Kebab. Bub. Yes.
Yes.
Perfection. Anyway, so he tells Logan, you can help us. You need to help us if you would like to. But he's very awkward. He likes to stub.
Okay.
Anyway, but he puts the requirement on Logan that he can't tell any of his fellow X people because they're all from different countries. Any of them could be being influenced.
Right.
Storms from Africa, Nightcrawlers from Germany,
Colossus
from Russia. So then all of them, those four, go to Amadeus, who's in him and his sister Maddie's food truck. They drive around a flying food truck.
That's cool. I did not know that.
Yes, and they ask Amadeus for help, and he's all too willing to help, and Maddie's kind of like pulling back the reins and is like, I don't know about this, and then they finally all convince her, and then they have some yummy Asian food before hitting the road.
That's always good.
Yes, and then Logan says, we need someone else's help. Is that a good Logan impression?
That was pretty good.
Thank you. And goes and finds Loki just chilling in a French cafe in France.
That's,
overlooking the Eiffel Tower.
Sure.
And Logan finds him, and they have a long conversation in which Loki basically says, no, I'm not going to help you. And then while Logan's walking away, he's kind of like, wait, do I get to kill people? And then he turns around and is like, probably. Then I'm in. And just teleports in front of him and starts walking to the helicarrier.
So now Loki wants to kill people?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Hey,
sure.
This is Loki we're talking about.
I mean, yeah, but still doesn't have too much of a desire to kill people.
I suppose not. And then the last member of the team that they contact is Black Panther. He shows up at the Wakandan School for Alternative Studies, which is an actual school, and finds Miles, who's studying there with Ganke and Judge, his two friends.
Nice. And
recruits him under the pretense of winning some sort of prize, like, oh, you won a prize, now you get to go on vacation for this long with the king. Superhero business. And then, for my wild card, Deadpool. Throughout this entire time, he's at the X-Mansion and is like, hey, wait, I want to come, when they grab Logan. He's at the French cafe and is waiting inside their ship when they get back to the ship to take off. So when Loki and Logan come back, they walk onto the ship and Deadpool's just there and he's like, I'm ready to go, guys! And they throw him off the ship. And eventually he just gets so persistent and he's everywhere that they go that they just let him come on the ship and use him as comedic relief and as a source of information.
Cool.
Then they head to Japan and fight the Hand, which is a ninja clan, and that corrupt government official. They head to Russia and fight some soldiers, and they go to Germany. They go all over the world. They go to every country over their 12-issue run. And then at the very end, they fight the vice president who's been planted in office and save the day by taking all of the corrupt government officials out. And they stop the plot.
One way to do it.
Sure. They stop them all, they save the world, and then at the very end, Black Panther gives them all stickers. but these are very special stickers designed by Amadeus Cho.
Here, you saved the world. Here's a sticker.
Have a sticker. Here's your sticker and a cookie. Have a nice day. And like Miles puts it on his backpack, right? And
Sure.
it's of all of the countries they went to.
Oh, nice.
But whenever the Unlimited Avengers are needed again,
Uh-huh.
it starts glowing.
Ooh.
And so at the very end of the 6-issue or 12-issue run,
Mm-hmm.
I would have Miles just be sitting in class, and then
Uh-huh.
all of a sudden it starts glowing, and he looks back and then smiles, and that'd be how it ends.
Nice.
They save the world. They have delicious kebabs,
Oh, yeah.
and yes. What about your team? Who is your leader?
So, I don't really have a lot of stuff on why I chose these characters. I just like them. You know, I'm not well versed into comics and movies as much as you are,
Right.
you know, but I picked out some of my favorites and people I think would make a good team. So, my leader is, again, Black Panther. It's crazy that we
Yeah.
chose the same character.
And just for the record, rest in power, Chadwick Boseman.
Mm-hmm.
I put him on my team before I heard of his passing. So,
Yeah.
did you put him on before or after?
I think after, but I don't think it affected my decision at all. I
Alright.
really just think Black Panther is such a great leader, you know,
Mhm.
of Wakanda, and he just does such a great job being king. He's from the 199999 universe, or the MCU universe. He was around in his 30s, you
Mhm.
know, you got the exact age, but yeah, and from the movie Black Panther. So that's my leader.
Cool. So, who is your muscle/immortal character?
Well, I went immortal for this one and chose Heimdall.
Ah,
From the MCU,
Oh.
specifically Thor Ragnarok, because I really
That-
like him without the weird helmet.
that's really cool. That's an interesting choice. I never would have thought of that.
Yeah, so he's from the MCU universe, Thor Ragnarok, and his age is a lot.
A lot.
A lot of age.
A lot of
He has a
age.
lot of age.
Thor and Loki. Well, Thor says that he's specifically 1,500 years old,
Right.
and I just put Loki at approximately 1,400 years old.
Because he was probably a little younger than
Because
Thor.
I'd like to think that Thor has at least a century on Loki.
Sure.
Who is your rebel?
My rebel's actually Captain Marvel or Carl Dan... Carl Dan... Carol?
Carol.
Carol?
Carol.
Carl.
Carl.
Her
Carl
name is
Danvers.
Carl Danvers.
Like Carl's Jr.
Yes,
Carl
Carl's
Danvers.
Jr.
Carl's Jr.
If
Captain
he
Marvel.
has a son, it will be Carl's Jr.
Carl's Jr. Yes. Oh my goodness. And
No,
the little
but-
star icon. Right?
Yes. okay.
Yes.
No,
Oh.
so no, Captain Marvel from the movie Captain Marvel. I really think that she would be a good rebel because she just kind of seems like, you know, she would follow the rules, but she kind of seems like her own character, you know?
Mhm. That's really cool. That's an interesting choice. So, what about your tech character?
Well, for my tech, I chose Shuri. One of like the biggest brains in all of the MCU.
Yes.
And she can create some crazy inventions, which we've seen in like Black Panther, which she's from. Because you
Mhm.
know she's only technically 4 years old,
Technically,
canonically.
canonically, yes, she's only 4 years old comics time.
not
But
age.
in the movie, she's 16.
Right, exactly.
So where would you pull this Shuri from?
I would pull her from Black Panther.
Oh, so age 16.
Yes.
Nice. That's a really smart choice.
Good one.
Thank you. So who is your magic user?
Well, my magic user is Magic.
Oh, from the M's. From the. Oh, wait. No, she's not in the MCU.
She's
From the X-Men. Sorry.
Not from the X-Men, actually. I would pull her from the New Mutants. I've seen a few of the trailers and read a little
Really?
bit about it, and she seems pretty cool in that show. Even if, you know, I haven't watched it, and it's pretty. It looks pretty terrifying.
Yeah, no kidding. But that's a really interesting choice. I mean, she obviously is an X-person, but I can
Right.
see why you'd choose to have her in the movie reboot. And
Mhm.
she's got the sword in that one, right?
Yeah, the sword. It's
Nice.
pretty sweet sword.
The psychic sword that
Yeah.
only cuts through armor and not people.
Right. It's pretty sweet.
So, with your magic user out of the way, who is your outsider?
I actually chose Hawkeye for my outsider.
Okay.
I know we talked a little bit about this earlier, but yeah, I really think Hawkeye is a good outsider because he has a family and he kind of shuns himself from the rest of the Avengers a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I
Interesting.
pulled him from, is the original Avengers
Oh,
movie.
Avengers 1.
Mm-hmm.
He'd have pretty young kids back then.
Right, that's true. Or maybe even no kids.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, what about your extra dimensional character?
I chose Doctor Strange,
Ah.
and that actually ties into my story just a little bit. But yeah, I think Doctor Strange is a great extra dimensional character.
Really?
He's not specifically from another dimension, but he kind of dabbles in all of the dimensions.
He hangs out in the dark dimension and
Right.
limbo a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could totally see that. And where would you be pulling him from?
I'd be pulling him from Avengers Endgame.
Ah, so he's been re-snapped. He's
Yep.
already seen all the
Unsnapped.
possible futures.
Right.
Wow, cool.
Yeah.
And he's a powerhouse unto himself.
Right. Like, he's one of the most OP characters, I think, in the MCU.
Is he as OP as your wild card, the next member of your team?
No, because Goose the Cat is the most OP character of all time, and that is what I have chosen for my wild card.
You chose Goose the Cat?
Yes, I chose Goose the Cat.
'Cause he's so fluffy. I can't decide if you've just been upgraded to legend status or if you've been downgraded all the way to noob status.
Oh, come on. Goose the Cat's awesome.
He is. That's okay, I've decided. That's an incredible choice.
Thank you.
Thank
you so much.
Goose the Flurkin.
Yes, the Flarkin.
Flarkin. Did you know that actually in the comics he is not named Goose?
Really?
He's named Chewie.
Huh.
After everyone's favorite
Chewbacca.
Yeah. I really liked him in Solo. What did you think?
Yeah. I have to do a review on Solo at some point.
If you'd like to suggest that we do a review on Solo, we'll tell you how to do that in a section of the podcast called The Shameless Plugs, coming up next. But why don't you tell us about your liaison in the meantime?
My liaison would be Everett Ross.
Really?
I think he was a little bit of a weak character in Black Panther, where I'm pulling him from. Because he kind of seemed like almost emotion... Not enough emotion for the things that was going on in Black Panther, but
sure.
I really liked him as kind of a... Not really a government person, but he was in the CIA, so I think that he would make a great liaison to... get information to the superheroes.
That is a very intelligent choice, I must say.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, now that we've said both of our Avengers teams, do you have any honorable mentions? I have a couple that I wrote down.
I do not have any honorable mentions, unfortunately, but go ahead and read yours.
I have 3 honorable mentions.
Okay.
So one was for the tech slot. I actually really considered putting Shuri in.
Really?
Yeah, in the tech slot. I just thought, I enjoy Amadeus Cho a lot, and I think that he'd be perfect for that role. I also had Captain America Bucky Barnes.
Oh, instead of
Steve Rogers and instead of Sam Wilson, which I thought he would have been great in the role, but I also think that Captain America Sam Wilson and Black Panther would get along really well.
Yeah.
And then I also thought of having Nick Fury being my liaison.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
But then I decided no, Phil, because it all ties into my story.
Ah, alright. Well, why don't you go ahead and read your story? So, my story is actually pretty short. I'm not very good at writing stories or short stories like you are. You're pretty good at it. But
thank you.
I just have kind of a basic summary. So, Heimdall is actually the one that sees an impending disaster and goes to recruit everyone. So, he goes to Black Panther to be the leader, and recruit some of the more OP characters like Captain Marvel and Doctor Strange and Goose the Cat for their awesome power that they're gonna need.
Goose the Cat?
Goose is the most OP. And gets information from gets government information from Everett Ross.
Ah, I see.
About things that are happening in Wakanda, because apparently he knows now.
Oh, you're right.
Even though he could just ask Black Panther, but he doesn't.
But he doesn't, because...
Inner turmoil.
Hasn't he also seen everything that's been happening in Wakanda? Because he sees everything?
I mean, yeah. Right? He sees everything. He also recruits Magic and Hawkeye because they're Cool. See, this is why I'm not good at writing stories.
It's alright, it's
Okay,
alright.
okay.
He likes Hawkeye because his costume's cool,
Yes.
and magic signs on.
Well, sometimes Hawkeye's costume is.
Sometimes. He's got the, there's a couple dumb ones.
This is
where it's got
MCU Hawkeye.
Okay,
so,
good.
Or maybe even Ronan,
Ooh.
if he wasn't from the original Avengers. But basically, the problem is that Dormammu.
What? You mean Yormammu?
Okay, that's taking it too far.
Yormammu.
Dormammu, some reason, wants all of the vibranium from Wakanda and is bringing an army of weird dark creatures to try to steal it. So these 9 characters have to battle and fight these characters to keep Dormammu from getting the vibranium, which he wants for some
nefarious purpose.
Right, he's probably gonna make vibranium dark dimension smoothies or something like that.
Rip vibranium.
There's also Goose. Goose is there.
Oh man. So how does
Goose
it
is
end?
there.
How does it end?
They end up defeating Dormammu, but not before he gets some vibranium and finally kills Goose the cat.
No! Why you gotta do this?
I'm sorry.
Oh man.
It just
Oh, the heartbreak.
I know, right? Captain Marvel must be so sad.
You know
And
what?
she's so sad that she makes him into a scarf. So she can have Goose forever.
This is disturbing.
Sorry. Yeah, that got pretty disturbing pretty fast.
You know what I bet?
What?
I bet right after this,
Mhm.
Ulysses the Inhuman is discovered, and this is why Captain Marvel is crazy in Civil War.
Because Goose the cat
because Goose the cat dies, and this is a horrific tragedy. I didn't know we were making in continuity stories, but apparently
we kind of are.
Looky there.
All right, well, now that we're done with the main section of the podcast, we might as well shamelessly self-promote ourselves in the next section.
The shameless plugs.
This is the section of the podcast where we shamelessly self-promote our podcast and everything to do with it.
That is exactly right. Getting started, if you'd like to make a suggestion of a topic we discuss, please email it to hanksayzpodcast@gmail.com, hanksayzpodcast@gmail.com. That's where you can suggest, that's where you can comment, that's where you can do all sorts of things. Please do that. It helps out the podcast a lot.
That's right. Also, to find a resource hub, just visit anchor.fm/Hank-Sayz. That's capital ANCHOR.FM/HANK-SAYZ.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to use Anchor, although I highly recommend you do, it has absolutely everything on it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't want to use it, they can find us by searching Hank Sayz on what websites, Alan?
There's Breaker, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Radio Republic, and Spotify.
And now, just recently, Apple Podcasts.
Really? We're on Apple Podcasts now?
That is right. We're on
That's
Apple Podcasts.
awesome.
And did you know that statistically, 70% of the podcast listens worldwide are from Apple Podcasts?
Wow, that's incredible.
So if you are on Apple Podcasts, why don't you go ahead and email that you are to us? We'd love to hear from you. Now it's time to move into the last section of our podcast, which is what, Alan?
Wait, you didn't mention that we're also on YouTube, and they can listen over there and subscribe.
You're right. How silly of me. Allow me to go stick my nose in the corner.
Oh, that's okay. You're okay.
Oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Now is it time for the guessing games?
Yes, it's time for the guessing games. Boing! What's our game today, Hank?
Well, today's game is the first edition of Terrific Trivia. Today we're both going to share some fun facts and stories from the Avengers.
All right.
So, what's our first one?
Well, did you know that in Marvel's Avengers shawarma scene, Cap is the only one who's not eating. This is because he had a prosthetic jaw to hide a beard that he's growing for another movie.
No way.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh, and he does. He has his hand over his mouth in that scene.
Yeah, he's just like...
I
know you can't see it because it's video.
You can't see it, but Alan is like miming, thinking, and hand positions.
Yep.
And our second terrific trivia is in Avengers Endgame, the quote, "I love you 3,000.
3,000?
3,000.
3,000. I Love You 3000.
I Love You 3000 was actually taken from one of Robert Downey Jr.'s children who said it to him.
Really?
So Robert Downey
that's
Jr.
awesome.
had that idea. That's
really cool.
Honestly, that's probably one of the sweetest things I've ever heard.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. So number 3, during the filming of Avengers 1, there was one night after wrap that all of the cast were in New York City.
Oh.
And Chris Evans sent a text message.
Podcasting is hard, people.
Yeah, text method to the cast that said "assemble." It was signaling them to have a night on the town together.
That's awesome.
And Clark Gregg, who was who again?
Clark Gregg was Phil Cheese Coulson.
Maybe just
cut the cheese. Coulson. Cut the cheese.
No, that's not what I meant. Okay, anyway, he said that it was his favorite text message that he's ever received.
I mean, it would be. I mean, can you imagine being texted by Captain America saying
assemble? That would be like pretty awesome.
Yeah, and also after the wrap of Avengers Endgame, there was no party plans. So did you know that Cap and crew organized a little thing? They walked out on the town, found an Italian restaurant, and danced until 4 in the morning.
Wow, that's awesome.
Also, in Avengers Age of Ultron, when Tony is picking out a new AI unit, while Captain America is talking.
Oh, the Friday, yeah.
Yeah, when the scene where he picks Friday, I'm gonna just keep this voice on Captain America. One of the cards that he could have picked is called Tadashi.
Oh, like from Big Hero 6?
Yes, from Big Hero 6, because Marvel actually owns Big Hero 6.
Oh,
and
right.
Big Hero 6 started out as a Marvel comic.
Does that mean that, like, Big Hero 6 superheroes are from the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
They're in Marvel 616, at least. They're Japan's kind of version of the Avengers.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Well, what's not cool is that it looks like it's about time to end the podcast for today.
Oh.
But thank you so much for tuning in to Hank Sayz, where we talk everything Marvel, DC, Star Wars, and Harry Potter. I hope you've enjoyed, and we'll see you next time. Alan, why don't you send us off with the most Avengers-esque goodbye you can possibly think of?
Avengers, disassemble.